Hello everyone, it's Johnny 𝐶𝐢𝐬𝐻, and in this video it's my first listen to Never Forever by Kate Bush. I've been a fan of Kate Bush for many years. At one point I was completely obsessed with her mid-80s classic Hounds of Love. Around that same time her album 50 Words for Snow was released, and I also got a hold of a copy of 2005's Ariel, both of which I thought were wonderful. I also listened to her 70s debut The Kick Inside, which, although having some great singles, especially Wuthering Heights, I wasn't totally sold on the album. A bit later though, I heard the predecessor to Hounds of Love, The Dreaming, and I was shocked by how inventive it was. Perhaps I loved the songs on Hounds of Love more, but The Dreaming was definitely the most creatively impressive album I'd heard from her. So now it's time for me to start filling the gaps I have in her discography, and I think Never Forever was probably the most pressing omission. I already knew the massive single Babooshka, although I'd never sat down and given it a proper attentive listen. And the rest of the album would be completely new to me, so I was excited. The rest of this video will be highlights from my live stream over on Twitch, where I listened to the album in full for the first time, and you can follow me over there if you'd like to join me for some more album listening parties. So do me a favor and click the like button on this video, and let's get into the album. Alright, let's get into it then. Track 1, Babooshka.
But how she was before the tears, dying the letter eyes. Babooshka, she wanted to take it further, so she eyes. Babooshka, Babooshka.
Oh wow, it goes into the next song. Well, I'll just pause it to give my thoughts. The sound is wonderful. It seems to me that they've done a really nice job with the remaster, because it sounds super clear and punchy, which is lovely. And in terms of the performance, I really love how she gives it that extra bit of grit in the chorus, almost growling it, which, yeah, that's great. That's the sound of Kate giving it a bit of welly that you don't hear too much in the early stuff on The Kick Inside. And so, yeah, it's great to hear it flourishing here. Just a fantastic song, isn't it? Very memorable. Great start to an album. I noticed the breaking glass sounds at the end, definitely the Fairlight sound, which she would famously go on to use even more throughout the 80s. So yeah, great start to the album. Time to get into some stuff that I'm not aware of. I don't think I know any other song on the album. So, track 2, this is called Delius. This is really not far from what she would end up doing on The Dreaming. Beautiful. Wow, I loved that. I loved the kind of mysterious chords she was using in that one. But it's the fact that she had those keyboard sounds all setting up a wonderful atmosphere, but then, you know, soaring over the top with that wonderful voice of hers. That seals the deal for the magic. Definitely pointing the way towards The Dreaming. All right, into track 3. This is called Blow Away. Yeah, really nice. Although I will say about that song that it felt a little fragmented to me. You know, lots of really great melodic ideas, but sometimes I felt that it was meandering a little bit. But on the whole, just a wonderful sound. The thing I was most impressed by is Kate's voice. I'm remembering that on her first album, her voice sounded a little thin sometimes, you know, I suppose because she was still pretty young. And I was wondering, you know, whether her voice on this album would lean more towards her more recognizable 80s voice or her more kick inside kind of voice. But it definitely seems to be leaning towards the former. You know, it sounds really strong, really beautiful. And yeah, there were several moments in that I was really into, especially towards the end there when she was mimicking the melody of the keyboard. It sounded magical. And yeah, the sort of chorus was very memorable too. Track 4 is called All We Ever Look For. Very adventurous songwriting here. There's like a spirit of adventure in this section. There's something slightly funny sounding about that whistle. I wonder if it's being played on the Fairlight, like she sampled a whistle and and is playing it. I think that might be happening there. But yeah, I loved that song. That was maybe my favorite yet. It was really like a mini Journey song. Yeah, really fantastic. And I loved the little sound collage in the middle with the walking back and forth footsteps and then the driving away. Really overall gave me the feeling of going on an adventure. Maybe the adventure is to go to Egypt. Track 5, it's called Egypt. Oh man.
The sands rock me in those desert eyes.
Oh, that's so good. That scream. Fantastic. I'm really surprised by how sonically advanced this album is. There are certain production techniques and ideas that I assumed were innovations on the Dreaming and even Hounds of Love, but it turns out they actually date back to here. Just the overall sonic landscape of these songs is so much closer to the Dreaming than I really expected. And yeah, it sounds wonderful. That song was excellent. I loved the mysterious chords again, fascinating melodies, but the instrumental parts were my favorite parts of that song. Just conjuring such a great atmosphere. Track 6 is called The Wedding List. Nice.
I'll put him on the wedding list.
This is probably the most like Babooshka compared to the others on the album. Something a bit more than that going on in these verses though. Nice. I really enjoyed the theatrics of that song. And of course, it was great to return to a bit more of that edgy sound of Babooshka, especially after how most of the songs in between were quite spacious, you know, not so groovy. I was starting to wonder if we would get more of a focus on rhythm at any point, and that definitely came in the chorus of The Wedding List. That being said, the verses were something else entirely, quite dreamy and almost with a dark jazz atmosphere at times. But yeah, great atmosphere, and then with a really hard-hitting, catchy chorus and Kate Bush's theatrics. Great combination. And yeah, I liked how the lyrics jumped out so much, you know. All right, track 7 is called Violin. Sounds like Roxy music. Quite a bit more rockin' than we're used to hearing from Kate. So, not too long ago, I think I might have found that song very off-putting because it's so rockin' and, yeah, very glam. But actually, there are several things that worked in its favor for me this time around. And a major thing is that, yeah, for me, it immediately sounded like Roxy Music. I mean, I only know the first Roxy Music album, but it had a bit of that vibe. That kind of up-tempo rockin' sound, but with a really theatrical and kind of zany vocal. But for me, it was even better than that because it's Kate doing that wacky vocal, and no one does wacky vocals better than Kate Bush. She sounded fantastic. Add on to that the fact that the mix is excellent. It sounds so satisfying. I was kind of into it. Track 8 is called The Infant Kiss.
I say goodnight, just a kid, just in school, going.
This is track 9, Night Scented Shock. Sorry, Night Scented Stock. So The Infant Kiss was a really pretty song, but I didn't find it as engaging or as memorable as some of the earlier songs. You know, just another great vocal, some great melody ideas, especially interesting ending. I don't know, maybe it will need to grow on me a bit more. Night Scented Stock was a lovely interlude, lots of vocal layering, so I did enjoy that. Time to get into the last two songs. I've heard Army Dreamers is a pretty popular song, so I'm looking forward to hearing this one. This is track 10, Army Dreamers. It's a great melody.
stop. Want to reach up more than army dreams.
Yeah, that was wonderful. Actually, there was something vaguely familiar about it. I think I might have watched the music video at some point. I'll have to revisit the video and see if I remember the visuals too. But yeah, if I have heard it, it was probably just one time a long time ago, because I don't remember it too well, but it really emotionally resonated with me. And yeah, what a great melody. So memorable, so moving. Well guys, we're on the last song, track 11, and it's called Breathing. Oh wow. Wow. Atmosphere really points towards the seventh wave. Quite frightening. It's not too dissimilar to what Floyd were doing on The Wall, which obviously was the same year as well. Very dark. What an incredible way to end the album. I'm quite gobsmacked by that one. And I'm glad you guys told me the theme of it, because I could definitely feel it. Yeah, really a sad song and quite crushing, actually. And yeah, I loved the emotion in Kate's voice, and the progression of it as well was really moving. This album has really surprised me. I was expecting perhaps something more akin to the kick-in side, and especially with the only song I knew of it being Babooshka, I just wasn't expecting it to be so texturally varied and so ambitious, which this album really turned out to be. It feels much more in the vein of The Dreaming than I expected, where, you know, I know The Dreaming obviously took several aspects a lot further and was even more sonically adventurous. But in terms of what she was going for here and the atmospheres that she successfully evoked, I'm not even inclined to think of this as a transition album. It feels like a fully realized album. Really compelling. So many fantastic songs and excellent production. Obviously, I can't say how much of the mix I can really attribute to the original album or how much has been changed in this new 2018 version, but it sounds wonderful. Really great, and it's definitely got me excited to get back into Kate Bush some more. So leave a comment down below to let me know what you think of this album, and if you missed the live stream and would like to see the full unedited reaction, you should check out my Patreon. Whichever tier you support me at, you get access to the full archive of reactions, and you'll be helping me to be able to keep making these videos, keep my channels going, so I really appreciate it. Thanks very much to all my current supporters on Patreon, and thank you very much for watching. Until next time, take it easy.